Okay, page 382, 387 of Spare, the royal family broke their promise and withdrew the security measure for Prince Harry and Meghan Markle when threats were at all-time high in 2020. They were determined to hang the Spare and his family out to dry. They wanted them dead or returned. They all the baggage for God. I offered to defray the cost of security out of my own pocket. I wasn't sure how I do that, but I find a way. This is the thing where Tyler Perry was, show respect for them, that they don't care about this nonsense. But anyway, let's move on. I said let's move on because I can't remember the quote of Tyler Perry. But Tyler Perry respect the move that they've done.
And I don't care how many doors slam, because what I found about doors closing and all this other stuff, not a lot of times that's not a bad thing, because what happened in my life is as these doors were closing, I was forced to go in another direction. I had to go right, I had to go left, and it's like being in a maze, and you run into a brick wall. It's like, no, I was supposed to go this way. No, there's another way out. You just have to find it and keep pushing and pressing. So all you need is that one yes. One yes.
Okay, I made one last pitch. Look, please, Meg and I don't care about perks. We care about working, serving, and staying alive. This the part here. This is where they went on after him. Okay, this part, they didn't really care. So instead, they focus on that. Staying alive. And they were like, oh, you want to stay alive? We're going to make sure this doesn't happen. But they forgot. God intervened. Okay, this seems simple and persuasive. All the heads around the table went up and down. As the meeting came to a close, there was a basic general agreement. The many fine granular detail of this hybrid agreement would be sorted out over a 12-month transitional period during which we'll continue to have security. All right, so they say yes in front of the queen, but behind the scene, they went after this. Okay, staying alive part. Okay, so that's that. The palace announced that the Duke and Duchess of Sussex had agreed to step back, that we no longer formally represent the Queen, that our HRH titles will be in abeyance during this transitional year, and that we'd offer to reimburse the sovereign grant for refurbishing to Frogmore Cottage. A firm no comment on the status of our security. There's the part here. They want to go after their life. God is good. I flew back to Vancouver, delicious reunion with Meg, Archie, and the dog, and yet for a few days I didn't feel fully back. Part of me was still in Britain, still at Sandringham. Yeah, it's really hard to do the transition. I could understand this, because that's not what he had in mind, but they forced him. Okay, I spent hours glued to my phone and the internet monitoring the fallout. The air directed at us by the papers and the trolls was alarming. Make no mistake, it's an insult, cried the Daily Mail, which convened a Fleet Street jury to consider our crimes. Among them was the Queen Express Secretary, who concluded with his fellow jurors that we should hereafter expect no mercy. Oh my... This is sad on so many levels, because we've seen those things. I shook my head. No mercy, the language of war. Clearly, this was more than simple anger. These men and women saw me as an existential threat. If our leaving posed a threat to the monarchy...
If you want to be private, go back to America and live privately. It's pretty straightforward.
As some were saying, then it poses a threat to all those covering the monarchy for a living. Hence, we had to be destroyed. That's the thing. They went after their lives. That's the key part they get out of the thing. Out of the meeting.
Savage AF. Savage AF.
That's the only key part they get. Oh, it actually probably give them ideas. Okay, because these people are freaking monsters. Okay, they don't think logically with compassion. So when Harry mentioned this small aspect, thinking he was saying a good thing to them, but they so freaking savages, they only took that part alone and said, okay, You want to stay alive? We're going to make sure you're not alive. That's the part here.
I spoke to Chris Sanchez on the phone. He was part of the security detail. He used to be with the Secret Service. He told me, I've never experienced anything like this. What we were dealing with was very chaotic. There were about a dozen vehicles, cars, scooters and bicycles. The public were in jeopardy at several points. It could have been fatal. So that's what they were dealing with, Brianna, and they're clearly very shaken up.
Lloyd was pleading with his superior at home, trying to get them at least to postpone the date when he and his team pull out. He showed me the email. He wrote, "We can't just leave them here." These are some people who work with them, who understand their compassion and all of that. The person at the other end wrote, "The decision has been made. As of March 31st, they by themselves. I scrambled to find new security. I spoke to consultant, gathered estimates." I'm telling you, I remember thinking, before spare, whatever money they made, this thing will be, I think I was using the saving that was it the mother left for them, Princess Diana left. I was like, this will be gone in 1 year, because it takes a lot. Okay, but let's continue. The person at the other end, okay, I read that. "I spoke to consultants, gathered estimate. I filled a notebook with research. The palace directed me to a firm which quote me a price $6 million a year." This is the thing. Harry was so naive. He was talking to the enemy as well. Talking to the enemy, asking things. And then if the palace were to give Harry that security, every step that Harry made, they would have known. If they're going somewhere, they would have known. And then they will think of their next evil things to do. Okay, I slowly hung up. In the midst of all this darkness came the horrible news that my old friend Caroline Flack had taken her life. She can't stand it anymore, apparently. The relentless abuse of that. And some videos, I believe it was this channel, or PYT, either one of those channels, pretty much the same. Caroline Flack's mother had appeared, not personally, but in some radio shows where she's still talking about this kind of thing, her feeling about the situation. And I've shared some of this. I think it's LBS or something like that. Okay, the relentless abuse at the hand of the press year after year had finally broken her. I felt so awful for her family. I remember how they all suffered for her mortal sin of going out with me.
Has Prince Harry done the press lasting damage? Do you think that as a result of the judgment that went against Mirror Group newspapers, we're going to see some sort of state regulation of the press? I genuinely hope not. I don't want the press to be in the last chance saloon at all. I want to see newspapers thrive. This is my industry, and I think it's in all our interests that we have a thrive. And we've got the most wonderful newspapers in the world in this country. You read the newspapers in the States or in France, they're very dull. They're not entertaining at all.
How they all suffer for her mortal sin of going out with me.
They're not entertaining at all. I think that we can have both a serious and an entertaining press. And that's what I want to see survive. I don't want to see Prince Harry destroy the industry I love.
Savage AF. Savage. Savage AF.
Yeah, I mean, this is why he's fighting these people. Okay, she'd been so light and funny that night we met. The definition of carefree. It would have been impossible then to imagine this outcome. I told myself it was an important reminder. I wasn't being over dramatic. I wasn't warming about things that will never happen. What Meg and I were dealing with was indeed a question of life and death.
Looking down my hallway, like, are we safe? Are the doors locked? Is security on? Is everything? That's real. Are my babies safe? And you've created it for what? Because you're bored or because it sells your papers?
They're not entertaining at all.
Or it makes you feel better about your own life? It's real what you're doing. And that's the piece I don't think people fully understand.
That's the part here, because Harry had mentioned in the previous one, okay, he doesn't care. You know, I just read the thing a few minutes ago. And they took that part only and then went to work to make sure it doesn't work. And this is why, as well, as I'm reading this, I never talk ill of any of Harry's ex. Okay, it just bring an extra level of things that Harry have to look for the next woman he meets. Okay, I've mentioned this type of thing in other videos. And time was running out. In March 2020, the World Health Organization declared a global pandemic, and Canada began to discuss the possibility of closing its borders. But Meg had zero doubt they're definitely going to close those borders, so we need to figure out somewhere else to go and get there. Okay, Meg asked me one night, "You don't think they never pull out security, do you?" Never. Not in this climate of hate. And not after what happened to my mother. Also, not in the wake of my uncle Andrew. He was embroiled in a shameful scandal, accused of the sexual assault of a young woman, and no one had so much as suggested that he lose his security. Whatever grievance people had against us, sex crime weren't on the list. That's the thing, but they made sure to always attach Harry with Andrew. And I always say, there's no comparison here.
Because to be role models, or the role models that each of you are, takes strength and it takes courage. But what I remind him is that no matter what you want to be when you grow up, it's your character that matters most.
Okay, February 2020, I scooped Archie from his nap and took him out to the lawn. It was sunny, cold, and we gazed at the water, touched the dry leaves, collect wax and twigs. I kissed his chubby little cheeks, tickled him, then glanced down at my phone to see a text from a head of our security team, Lloyd. He needed to see me. I carried Archie across the garden and headed him to Meg, then went across the soggy grass to the cottage where Lloyd and the other bodyguards were staying. We sat on a bench, both of us wearing puffer jacket, waves rolling gently in the background. Lloyd told me that our security was being pulled. He and the whole team had been ordered to evacuate. Surely they can't. I would tend to agree, but they are. So much for the year of transition. There's a thing. They went to work and make sure that 1 year doesn't work. Okay, dead or alive. The threat level of us, Lloyd said, was still higher than for that of nearly every other royals, equal to that assigned the Queen, and yet the word had come down and there was to be no arguing. So here we are, I said, the ultimate nightmare, the worst of all worst case scenarios. Any bad actor in the world will now be able to find us, and it will be just me with a pistol to stab them. Oh wait, no pistol, I'm in Canada. I rang Pa, he won't take my calls. This? Just then I got a text from Willie. Can you speak? Great. I was sure my older brother, after our recent walk in the Sandrium Garden, will be sympathetic, that he step up. He said it was a government decision, nothing to be done. They're all a baggage for God. Whatever they set up for Harry, I don't know. If they feel like it was good for Harry, maybe it would be good for them. Okay? So they're all a baggage for God. Okay? So I believe that's the end of the thread. Oh my God. Okay, this is evil of the highest degree, and this is the head of the Church of England. As Diana said, they are not a loving or compassionate family. Okay, poor Charles, he ran out of money because it was spent on Camilla and her kids. There's another thing here. Yet Charles pressed on with a campaign to sell the once detested homewrecker to the British public, a secret campaign masterminded by public relation wizard Mark Bolan and known inside the walls of the St. James Palace as Operation PB, okay, Operation Parker Bowles. The head-to-toe makeover of Charles' mistress involved the deployment of a small army of hairdresser, plastic surgeon, baggage for God, that's all, dentists, and they did all of this and she still looked like that. Oh my God. You know what? Let me not continue with, because I don't like to talk about beauty and stuff like that, because I know I will go off. Whatever popped up in my mind, I will share it. So let me not just read. If you saw, you saw. Just go back and pause the screen. And yet the press still continued to take inventory of her wardrobe. The taxpayers was never responsible for her clothing, even her wedding dress, nor Fragmore Cottage while she lived in the UK. We had paid close attention to how the tabloid have selectively and successfully manipulated section of the public into believing that she is out here draining her in-laws.